What's going on, guys? This is Luke Mindpower. Welcome to another episode. I have a super extraordinary guest with me today. Her name is Emily. She is a coach and a speaker. She's the host of the podcast, The Emily Adams Show, and she's been featured on platforms such as Medium and Thrive Global. She also helps coaches overcome limiting beliefs and scale their business. We met through Twitter and this amazing virtual realm of possibilities. So please help me in welcoming Emily.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Yeah, it's great to connect with you and great to share this space. So I look forward to the conversation, and I know that you've got so much to share with us. I love one thing that I read on one of the questions that I asked you, and you said that I think it was one of the biggest lessons, and you said that no one's going to save you. And
Yes.
I love that because it's so true. And how did you come to that realization, and where were you before that? Were you living in a place where you felt like that somebody's going to help you, somebody's going to guide you, somebody's going to give you that magic wand so that you can achieve your dreams?
Yes, absolutely. So I think like the reality really hit me after I went through a divorce of like, no one's going to come pull you out of this mess. No one's going to come save you. And it was just like, whoa, like I got to get my shit together. But before that, I was in that mindset of, always hoping, something is going to come along and actually save me. But in all reality, I didn't realize until a couple months later, like I have to save myself. And then COVID-19 hit, which was a big blessing in my life. And I found meditation and really found inner peace. And I realized, I had the power now to save myself. And all my life, I was looking for someone to save me from my career that I didn't like, save me from, the relationships and stuff that I was in that didn't serve me. And the whole time I had the power to do it myself.
Yeah. Wow. So how long, I've had an experience with divorce, not personally, but through my one of my family members. And so I know the struggle. I know how painful it is, especially if you have children. How long did you know that you were not in the relationship that you wanted to be? And when did you actually take action to actually get yourself out of that? Because I know that's probably one of the biggest struggles that a lot of people face, is the fact that you can't comprehend the reality of you having to leave that life that you have manifested and you have created and you so dearly wanted to be, happy family, having children, living the dream life. And then you come to this intuitive, because I know it's intuitive, it's within you. You realize after a certain point that, wow, there's something wrong. There's a disconnection. I'm not feeling as content and comfortable and loving and passionate and optimistic about this life that I have created. And then the hardest thing is to actually act on that, to listen to that instinct and say, like, how much time do you have to go through it? And some people take 10 years, some people take a long time. Why can't we listen to that intuition straight away and say, okay, I need to take action to try to communicate and fix this. If in the next 6 months it doesn't get fixed, I'm out.
Yeah, so that's a really, really good question. I'm a firm believer that a lot of times we don't take action because there's a lesson in it that we need to learn. And so I've actually been through 2 divorces. My first one, so I got pregnant at 18, got married at 19.
Wow.
And a year and a half into the marriage, I knew that it wasn't the marriage for me. It was very verbal abusive, controlling, but I was still stuck somewhat in the Amish culture, which is the way I was raised. So then I realized the more I was outside the culture, the more this was not okay. And then I was going to leave, but then found out I was pregnant with my next son. So I stayed for 2 years. And then it took me 3 times to actually leave for good. And that was a span over 9 months. And, I knew it. And the moment that it really hit me is when it involved my boys, and I saw the look on my oldest face, and I was like, I can't keep sitting here putting him through this. I wasn't worried about myself, but more for my boys. And then for my second divorce, I actually did not see that coming at all. We had been in a relationship for almost 7 years and had been married a little bit over 2 years, and then started having problems, went through counseling. And then one day he was just like, I'm done. I don't love you anymore. And that wasn't really my choice, because I would have kept fighting for it. But now looking back, I realized it was one of the best things that ever happened. So for how long, I always say it's takes you however long it is for you to learn that lesson that you're in.
Yeah, and that's what I always say a lot of times too. The lesson will keep showing up until you learn it. But the beautiful thing that we have now is that awareness. We have the possibility of connection, of virtual connection, of taking action on yourself and being able to be exposed to these seeds of information, of podcasts, of social media, of YouTube, of connecting with content and valuable content that will inspire you, that maybe will open up your mind in that certain direction for you to say, you know what, I'm worth more than this. I need to take action now, not in 7 years.
Yes,
So
definitely. We have so many resources, and I really wish they would start teaching it more in the schools at a very young age. And as a parent, as a single mom, I teach my boys now, this is your worth. Someone doesn't tell you what your worth is. You define that. And we don't teach that as a whole. We don't teach that as a society, to listen to ourselves. It's whatever the new trend is, or it's whatever is popular, because, then we go into the whole of like self-judgment, other people are judging us, and we have fear around that because we want to fit in this box, right?
absolutely. So tell me a little bit about, I know, again, a lot of the times we're born into this world, we don't really have control over what we are taught, what beliefs we should believe in, how we should live, what's right and wrong. That doesn't come into play until we get a lot older. And then sometimes that's too late, and so we've been molded into becoming these individuals that possibly we could be so unconscious of who we actually are and our ultimate potential. And so you were raised as in the Amish faith. I don't know, is that's a religion, or is that a culture?
So it is a culture. It is a culture. It is completely different from any other culture. It's a very religious culture. So more so with a lot of rules and stipulations, and a lot of, you don't go outside of your culture at all. If you leave your culture, you can't come back, and you don't have once you make a decision to leave, you're done. And they'll tell you, as you're leaving, you're no longer saved, and you're, this sinner, and it's a lot of brainwash that goes with it. So yeah, I left when I was 17.
And what do you think was the point where you actually realized that this is not feeding me with the love and soul connection and value that I need, and I need to move away? What was that point?
So I think it started at a very young age, because they really taught a lot of, God as love, but didn't necessarily follow those steps. So I felt like if God was truly love, we wouldn't have all this judgment and this just against each other and all these rules, because we had all these rules because we thought that they believe that that's the way that they get into heaven. And it was very religious based. So the rules, down to the women had to wear a dress, you had to have a certain color socks, certain color shoes, like all these different rules. And at a young age, I always questioned why, why did that happen? And why weren't we like the rest of the world? When we went to grocery shop, there was a lot of people would look at us weird, stereotype against us. And I was like, why is that? And the more I was in it, the more I realized like, this is crazy. And at the time, kind of my life was going to be, I get out of school at 8th grade, which is about 13 and 14. Then I start learning how to cook, clean, sew. And then at 16, I'm dating married by 18 and having kids by then. That was kind of the life for the Amish girls. And I
Right.
realized like, that's not what I want. But
Yeah.
even so, I ended up leaving at 17 and got pregnant at 18. So still somewhat followed that trend. But that's when I realized. And then I lost one of my friends in a buggy accident, and in her funeral, there was some things said, and I was like, if God is love, this isn't it. And I think after that, I really searched, and I was soul searching for just a higher connection, and just like knowing there was more. And I honestly did not find that until COVID-19 hit, and I went through meditation for the first time and had this big transformation, and just my life did a 360 where I felt like I was finally connected. I finally found it. I found that happiness. My life just completely changed. The level of awareness was like somebody just ripped a curtain off, and it was like, wow, like it's there. So, I mean, and there was little, like the day it hit me, I remember walking outside and just seeing like the flowers and the trees, and just being amazed. And then just coming back and watching my boys, just the level of just being present. And it was like, wow, I can't believe this. So that kind of stemmed me into doing a lot of studies on the power that our thoughts have. And that's where I was like, yeah, there's something to this. So I did a lot of mindset work and reprogramming. And if you come from a very religious background, you reprogram a lot to kind of release the religion side and more let the spiritual side come in.
Mm. Far out, man. You just talked about so many things, and I'm just sitting here. I'm like, okay, how do you find happiness? Okay, let's talk about conscious parenting. Okay, let's talk about meditation. All right, let's talk about how women are oppressed in that kind of culture, and are not allowed to kind of evolve as individuals, but they have to follow a certain section or sect of living, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, what should I ask her? That's just
Ask away.
that's just bringing you into the mind of Luke Mind Power, because literally, like, I sometimes sit, and while I'm listening and I'm interviewing people, I'm kind of like, my thoughts are being triggered, and I'm continuously like searching which is the next door that I'm going to go into, so but yeah, it's amazing that you talk about all these different things, especially like meditation, for example. So I guess, why has that been such a powerful connection for you, and how has it taken away the mask or the curtain? Why? And because a lot of people, for example, for me, I've only recently connected with the meditative side of life, and I have to tell you that it is powerful. But if you'd spoken to me 6 months ago, I still wasn't connected. I was just like, yeah, I don't do that, you know I don't. But now, for me, meditation is about loving yourself, and it's about actually taking the time to spend time with yourself, just in that peaceful state. And yes, it is about your thoughts. It's about letting go, and it's about being present. It's about your breath. It's about coming back to the present moment. It's about gratitude. But entirely, it is that real powerful connection with yourself, which is something that we're so disconnected from. And that's why, I guess I just answered my own question. But you tell me, how has it changed your life, and why has it changed your life, and why should other people invest into connecting with themselves by meditating?
Yeah, definitely. So it really, so, it's funny because 9 months ago, I had a friend tell me, you're an angry person. You should probably start meditating. I was like, powerlifters don't meditate. We powerlift, we don't meditate. And so actually during COVID, I was like, oh, I have all this time. One of my friends, posted this meditation challenge, and I'm like, I can give it a shot. It was super easy meditation to follow, but it taught you like how to be still and be present in what your thoughts were. So when you go into a meditative state, and I always thought, meditation was for, monks that lived in this place and they just, sat in their mats. And I don't have that time because, I'm a mom. I have to like keep going and going and going. And during COVID, everything shut down. So I had time to do it. But it's literally taking the time to connect and knowing the power within you. And it may not happen on your day one. It happened on like day 14 or 15 for me of just being silent and being present. And when I realized, like, wow, like all these things, I started really listening to myself. I was like, this is incredible, because now I feel like I'm guided by a higher power. And when I go into a meditative state, like a really cool thing happens. If I ask a question, my handwriting will change if I'm journaling. So it's in somewhat of channeling, right? Because my handwriting completely changes. I'm like, I don't know where these messages come from. And I'll get different ones depending on what the day it is. And this may not, for me, it scared me the first time. And I was like, whoa, like I am not ready for that. I'm not one of those people, you know. I didn't want to be like one of those woo-woo spiritual people. And now I'm like, you know, that's fine. But it's just being present and connecting, because we often think that someone else has the answers to our problems. You know, this person has the answer to all the problems. But if we dig deep and we go within, and it can be uncomfortable because we're not used to it.
Mm.
We're not taught how to be still and listen to who you are, listen to what you need, and start honoring that. Because there's power when we start honoring what we need, and, you know, filling ourselves full of self-love, self-worth. That was two of the biggest things I struggled was self-love and self-worth. And I realized that through meditation, I could overcome this.
Mm.
And it was just incredible, because I saw like my self-worth that just like, wow, like I can't believe that I did all these things in my life. And it was hard not to judge myself for it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was like, you know, these are just life lessons. I got to learn this. Now I know. Now moving forward, I have this self-value. I have this, you know, the self-love that I've always needed. And I can always have that no matter what. No one can take that away from me. And that's been the most incredible thing through meditation, is knowing the power within. And everyone has it. And I used to get so frustrated over people that would be like, well, just go within, you know, you have the answer within, or listen intuitively. I'm like, what does listen intuitively mean? So I used to get so frustrated with it. But if you sit still long enough and just even do breath work, you'll see your mind starts to really slow down, and you're just present. And, you know, there's multiple ways to meditate, and guided meditation, which that's actually the way that I had my major breakthrough, was
Mm.
through guided meditation.
Yeah, I went through I enjoyed actually listening to some guided meditations, but now I like to put on some nature sounds, or just some sort of theta waves or brainwave music or something like that, and I allow that to be my background. And yeah, you can choose to sit in silence as well. It's up to you how you connect with yourself. But yeah, it's definitely powerful, and it takes time. You know, when, like you said, you say, yeah, just look within. It's like, what does that mean? Yeah, I don't know. What are you talking about? Look within, you know? And it's just this is an investigation, right? How much do you want to really know who the hell you are? And so, yeah, one thing I do is I study myself. I analyze my way of thinking and the way that I react to things, and my feelings, my emotions. I acknowledge them when I am triggered, for example, when I feel uncomfortable, when something or someone has said something to me and it kind of made me feel uneasy. And then I actually step back from that, and I talk to myself about it so that I can understand myself. And it's very healing. And again, it is about returning yourself to not always uh, needing someone else to validate you and help you through something. It's about actually reconnecting with yourself and dealing with it yourself, because we're so used to ringing up your mate, picking up the phone and talking to your sister or your mum about something that you're going through, because you need someone else to hear you, right? So we're always, again, this is about projecting outside to the outside world instead of focusing on yourself. And that shows as well how insecure we are, right? And how much we live in a lack state of mind, because we're not connected to ourselves, and we can't even understand ourselves, you know? So absolutely, big stuff. But what you mentioned about meditation and about doing the inner work, and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, yeah, man, like, why don't we, and are we not taught that in school? why are we not taught to connect with ourselves? Why are we not taught to love ourselves? Why are we not taught self-worth and how to build self-esteem and to be confident? Why are we taught English, geography, maths, music, all this bullshit, but not about self-love, not about connection with your soul, not about meditating, not about connecting with yourself, not about appreciating yourself for who you are,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
And that just shows how clear it is that we are kept on a low vibration. And
Yes, and it's it really hit me, especially as a mom of two boys, of like, wow. When I started, looking at their education and this, we were talking about education in general, and no one teaches it. And a lot of times I sometimes feel like the religious side kind of gets in the way, because people take their kids to church, but the religion isn't teaching them how to connect with themselves. So there's nothing that really teaches them. So if your parents don't do it, you're going to either learn on your own or you're never going to learn it. And it is frustrating, to sit back and look at the education systems, like, why don't we teach that? Because then we would all be raised to a higher vibration. And I think that's where we, those that are at a higher vibration, have to come in and start, educating those that are at a lower vibration and pushing for that change, and starting our children, even with just breath work and understanding self-worth and
mm,
self-value.
mm,
Once, young, these kids in even elementary school, some of them are getting bullied. They don't know their self-worth. Or there's little things that we say, or I know I say it a lot as a parent, was, for my boys, suck it up, like, stop crying.
yeah,
And now I'm like, no, we don't say that. You feel your emotions.
absolutely.
Because that just makes, and I think, like, so many people look at that as, well, that's weak. You should make your boys suck it up. But no, because it's teaching them to feel their emotions, acknowledge it, and now they can move past it. And in a society today, if you're a young boy, it's frowned upon if you cry, but if you're a young girl, it's not as much.
Mm.
So it's just, it's interesting, because now, because my parenting has completely changed, but I often wondered why we don't have that education. And the newest thing I've wondered is why we don't educate more on the whole Black Lives Matters, because that's been another huge topic for me and my boys, to sit and discuss. And just the lack of education, it's unreal.
Yeah, we should have a subject about coexisting, about acceptance, about not judging. There should be a subject called not how to not judge people, how to
Yes.
unprogram your mind from the judgment that you have been taught because of your culture, right? That you can't hang around specific people, or other people of other faiths are no good for you, for us, right?
Mhm.
And so we're so disconnected from each other because of religion. It plays a big
Yes.
part. It controlled me for a long time, and I only speak from experience. I used to be very objective towards homosexuals and gays and people of other faiths and colors, right? And that was just because of my environment. That was how I was raised,
Mhm.
and so come back to the conscious state of living, a conscious love, right? Spirit consciousness of who are you, and we are all connected. We are all the same. Just because your skin color is different to mine doesn't make me different to you. We're all energy, right? what what
Absolutely.
what we
Absolutely.
what we have on the external is, this is just a meat suitcase, right? This is just a body that we have, and so it doesn't define who you are, because realistically you can look at me as I am, but everything that's coming from me is from within. So
Yes.
but I've been programmed to judge you by the way that you look, how you present yourself, what you're wearing, the color of your hair, the color of your eyes, right? Everything. I was living in the Shaolin Temple, and every time someone new came in to live there, I was judging them, and I had never even met them. And every single person, after they stayed at the Shaolin Temple and I lived with them, I got to realize that they were extraordinary and they were so amazing. But when I first saw them, I was judging them, and I was aware of that, because I was like, and I had to pull myself up and I had to say, why are you judging them? you don't even know who they are. And that's how powerful our mind is, that we have been programmed to judge people because of the way that they look, because of their culture, because of where they live, and that's the, again, disconnection to the self, because when you don't love yourself, you can't love the world,
Yeah, absolutely. And
so.
judgment is just one of those things that it's just I've done a lot of work on. I started reading The Judgment Detox by Gabrielle Bernstein, and
Hmm. She's
going
amazing.
through this, oh, I know, she's such incredible work.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
going through that, it taught me there was things that I was judging that I wasn't even aware. It was simple things. I was judging myself for, maybe a food choice I made. Or if I went to this grocery store and I saw somebody in pajamas, I'm like, why are they wearing pajamas? But really, it doesn't affect me. So why was I judging? So I asked myself, like, why was I judging? And in the
Huge.
book, she says, when you're judging, you're not coming from a place of love. And that
Yes.
really hit me. Is like, I choose love. Love is the ultimate answer. And when I'm in a judgmental state, I'm not choosing love. And she
Mm,
teaches, every time you catch yourself in judgment, choose again, choose a different thought, and choose again, and choose love, because that always brings you back to your heart center.
mm. Yeah, I've got a meditation from her and I love it. And I want everyone listening right now just to take a moment and to give yourself permission to feel good right now. Because she says that, and it's so good, because it's like, my friend actually brought it up. DJ Danilo, shout out to you, man. He said, yeah, man, give yourself permission to feel good right now. Give yourself permission consciously right now to just feel good, because you're breathing and you're alive, and be grateful for that. And she says that. It's so good. She's amazing, and a big inspiration to me. But Emily, let's talk about your powerlifting. Everybody has their forms of exercises. I love to go to the gym. I like to go for a walk as well. But different ways to spend time with yourself and invest in yourself physically, because I really truly believe that fitness is a major part of loving yourself, of giving you that time, and working on yourself, moving your body. It's so important. I learned this while living in the Shaolin Temple, how important it is to move your body, get your body moving, get your blood pumping. How are you using powerlifting? Is that a passion of yours, or is that something that you do just as your form of exercise?
So both. So it's a passion of mine, and it's also just a form of exercise I use all the time. And I definitely, in the same way, mind, body, and soul are connected. And once you start seeing that, your life really starts changing. But powerlifting really changed my life. It built the confidence I needed, and powerlifting is such an opening community. And when I first started losing weight, I ran a lot of Spartan races, and my goal was always to try to get down to a size 6 or a size 8. That's what I wanted. Everyone wants to be the skinny girl that doesn't, not usually the thick girl. And I realized when I started losing weight, and I had gotten to like a size 8, and then I was introduced to powerlifting, and then my whole body composition changed. But when I powerlifted, there was several things that happened. One, I got an adrenaline rush off of the platform. So when I competed, it's like an adrenaline rush for me, and I'm an adrenaline junkie. And the other thing is the empowerment of the community. It doesn't matter what size, shape, we don't race, nothing, none of that matters. And strictly you show up and you compete against yourself.
Amazing.
And you don't really compete against all these other, yes, there's state and national records, but you just try to beat your total every single time. And powerlifting also showed me, because my goal was always to hit 1,000-pound total. And in December of 2019, I hit 1,013. And in that moment, because I thought 1,000 pounds was my max, right? But when I hit the 1,013, I was like, whoa, like I just tapped into a whole other world. And that's the same for me as a career. Like it showed me like, wow, this potential, like look at this unlimited potential that you have. And then I ended up leaving my corporate job in February of 2020. So it just really allowed me to embrace who I was and build confidence. Like if anybody out there wants to build confidence, start lifting weights.
That's also behind you, all those medals. Is that from competitions that you've won or participated in?
Yes. So some of them are the ones that I've won. Others, I think the blue ones are the ones that I was second place in.
So just explain the whole concept of powerlifting. Are you just doing, what are they called, deadlifts, or you're picking up the bar with weights on each end and putting it over your head? Or is it like a Olympic powerlifting, like in the Olympics?
No. So powerlifting is there's three different lifts. So there's the squats, there's the bench, and then there's deadlift.
Yep.
And when you compete on competition day, you get three different shots for making each lift.
Mm-hmm.
So going into it, you'll be like, okay, I'm going to bench 200 pounds. Once you make that, follow all the commands, get green lights, then you can up your weight to go up more. So
Mm-hmm.
you get three shots to hit what you desire.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very strategic, planned out.
Yeah.
And then the same way with squat and deadlift, you just go into those.
Amazing. So doing just those three exercises, how much of an impact does that have on your whole body? Are you actually working your whole body, your lower back, your back, your arms, your legs, everything, your shoulders, just by doing those three exercises?
So kind of how my training is, I usually train 5 days a week, and I'll do like 1 day bench, 1 day squat, 1 day deadlift, and then I'll have accessories. So then I'll do, shoulders.
Okay.
And by the time the end of the week, I've hit every single body part.
Yeah. Nice. It's amazing. I can only imagine how strong your body is because of, the amount of times that you actually lift those heavy weights, so it's, powerful stuff, thanks for sharing that. It's so great. It's really inspiring.
Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah. So you also help coaches monetize their business. Is that right?
I do. I just recently transitioned into that, and I love it. And I also credit that a lot to meditation
Yep.
because I left my corporate job in February 2020. I had the perfect corporate job. I had landed the dream job I wanted, and part of it was really hard to let go of the fact that I put myself through college as a single mom working full time. And now I was looking to leave that corporate world, and I had to let go of a lot of identities and titles
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
to leave. So I left to be a nutrition coach, and realized that it did not align with me. And for a moment, I kind of freaked out because now what am I going to do? And I had one of my business mentors tell me, because I was going through meditation at the same time, he said, instead of doing, why don't you just be? And I was like, what does that mean? Like, how do I just be? And he was like, well, just take a week and just be who Emily wants to be, and you'll see your mind, you're going to be led to what you should be doing with your life. And I thought it
Yeah.
was the craziest thing in the world.
Mm.
And then one morning it hit me. I had finished meditation, and I was like, you should teach people how to run their business online. And of course I had all these thoughts of like, well, who are you to do this, and all these fears. But then I realized, like, I gave myself a reality check, and I'm like, wait a minute, you graduated from Purdue University, you have all this leadership experience, why aren't you qualified? So I kind of did some reprogramming, and then launched my online business coaching. And it has just been incredible to be able to connect with other people that have online business that want to grow and scale their
Mm-hmm.
income, and just to see their growth and see them light up and provide them, the support and resources they need.
That's pretty amazing. And yeah, you obviously would have had to invest in yourself to become a coach first, so that then you can coach people to, go down that path as well. Which, it's interesting how you just showed the timeline of what you've had to go through in order to get into that aligned state of just being who Emily is,
Yes.
And I think that's the scary part for a lot of people, because we tend to, sometimes unconsciously, because that's just the direction that we're shown, and we think that that's the right way. And so we build this foundation, we build this structure of our reality of what it is. And so when you get to that certain point, whether it's 5 or 10 years in, and that could be your whole picture, your marriage, your investments, your business, your work, your whole life, but then to realize that maybe this is not the right thing to be doing. Maybe this is not really who I am. And that's the scary part for a lot of people, that they would have to stop and start again.
Yeah. And it's not easy. It's very, very uncomfortable. But let me tell you what, on the other side of that is beautiful.
Yeah, oh, I'm connected with your energy. I can feel the serenity. I can feel the peace. I can feel the love. It's just, that's what you're flowing. That's what you're throwing through the video towards me. I can feel it, it's amazing. And you know what, like, I'm so happy for you. It's like, I'm really inspired.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I feel like, looking back, I feel like there's so many people out there that are almost there at that point. But then, if they can just let go of some of the things, then they'd be right there as well. But again, I'm not, we can't take away their learning experiences. And sometimes it's hard for me to be like, here, let me help you out a little bit more. But by taking, their learning experiences away, that may do them more harm than good. So,
Yes, of course.
that's been one of my struggles.
Yeah. Look, I get it, man. Everyone's on a different path, and everybody's got to go through what they have to go through so that they can grow into that state of consciousness where they need to change, or they feel the will within themselves to say, you know what, I've had enough. It's
Yeah.
time. It's time for me to move and to go a different direction. And yeah, man, it's not easy. And again, you have to take yourself out of that. Like you said, this is not about competition. This is about being in competition with myself.
Yeah.
And when you detach yourself from comparing yourself to others, and you compare yourself to the person that you were yesterday, that's when the game changes, because you can look back. I can think about myself, who I am today. How have I become stronger, wiser, and more connected with my purpose and myself from the person that I was yesterday? And I can answer that question straight away. I had a great evening with a few of my friends. I connected with them. We spoke about so many different things again, but it was about feeding, and it was about giving and receiving energy, which was positive, valuable,
Mm.
inspiring, optimistic, you know. And so again, that brings me to then, how important is it to surround yourself with the right people that are feeding you with exactly what you need for you to grow?
Oh man, it's so, so important. Let me tell you. It kind of goes back to the fact, your environment is so important. And yeah, you may be listening and be like, well, I can't control my environment because of where I work and all that stuff. But you can really protect yourself. And I learned on in a very early age how to block out stuff, block out other people's projections. When people say, oh, but you're not going to be successful, just block it out. It does you no good. And when it comes to leveling up your circle, even career wise, when I left the corporate world, I actually joined a mastermind and changed my life. I was now sitting in the room where I was making the least, and all these entrepreneurs were at a high level. They're performing at 6 and 7 figures, already have all this business, and it just made me level up. Like I was inspired. I wanted to. It wasn't like I felt guilt, but it drove me to level up. And then it came to my friend circle, and that was a little bit harder to for me to let go of some of them, because some of the friends, I'd been friends with them for years, and I realized they were the ones that were kind of bringing me down. It was a hard reality, and I kind of went through this stage of I didn't want to give it up, and then I learned that if I didn't release it, I was just going to keep learning the lesson, and I was being drained. And when I started surrounding myself with people that supported me and gave me just as much as I gave out, it was just like incredible. It's almost like I always describe it like if you have kids or you have parents or a spouse where you have an unconditional love. And your friend circle should be the same way. It should be an unconditional giving. You should never be like, what can they give to me? But more so, how can I help them? And just know that it's going to come back tenfold. And if your circle's not that way, start weeding those out, because that's the only way you're going to level up.
I love it. Emily, this interview has been amazing, man. Like I've learned so much from you. Like this is one thing that I thrive off, is connecting with others and learning from others, because I was always stuck with this mindset of, I don't know how to learn. I don't like studying. I didn't like school. I didn't go to university. It's like all these things that I didn't do that made me feel insecure, and that I compared myself with the rest of my friends, with the world, with the majority of mainstream life of going to university and doing that kind of, formula of getting to your success or happiness of way of life. And so one way that I learned to learn was to communicate with others and learn from others. And so I really appreciate your time today and the value that you have given. And I know, like, hands down, that whoever listens to this interview is going to be inspired just by your story, and just the way that you project your energy and the way that you articulate your words. And, there's so much love and belief within yourself. And so congratulations on everything that you have done in your life to get you to where you are now, because you're changing people's lives, because you healed, you chose that, you made the decision for yourself to say, you know what stops with me, and I'm going to take control. I'm going to take my pen back. I'm going to write the rest of my story. And so you're amazing. And I really appreciate your time. And I thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Where can people find you on your
Yeah.
platforms? Yeah. If you want to reach out to you.
So I'm very active on Instagram. Instagram stories is kind of my thing. So I'm Emily_powerlifting on Instagram. And then I also have a website that's emilyadams.net. And you can find all my platforms on my website as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Emily. One final question before we go. What is your definition of loving yourself?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I could talk a long time about this. Loving myself unconditionally, no matter what, whether I think that I made a mistake or I'm not where I want to be at, but still pouring love into myself at all times. And that means taking time for myself, doing the things that I need to do to be the best version of myself.
Love it. Emily, thank you so much.